Hello, my name is Alex Holman. Imagine going to your favorite restaurant in the Twin Cities, and you just finished your food there, and everything was going great, until you overheard someone talking about that restaurant had a bad rat problem. You probably wouldn't want to go back there until that rat problem is solved. And that's what I want to talk about today. The Twin Cities has a very big rat infestation problem in both businesses and for homes. And what I believe that we should do is we need to find a way to we need to find or create a way to slow or end the rate of rat infestation. So today I want to talk about the potential health risks that rat infestations have and where they're coming from, some benefits that we can use for these rats, some potential plans that we could use that other countries are using, and what I believe that we should do to get rid of rat infestation. So let's kick things off about what the potential health risks are and where they're coming from. The biggest example that I can think of is New York. New York City is one of the biggest trading sites in the world, and it's pretty common to have rats being being one of the biggest trading sites in the world. But according to the scholarly article, spatial variation in the parasite communities and genomic structures of urban rats in New York City, made by L.P. Angley of February 2018, claims concerns for disease emergence in large cities to grow as global businesses and population increases. The biggest example of this is the West Nile virus in 1999. It came from mosquito bites originally, but then it carried to rodents like rats, and that's how the West Nile virus started. And that was found on page 115. I mean, if this is just one thing that rats could do, almost start a pandemic with a new disease that we've never seen, who knows what they could do? But the main question is where are they coming from? Well, according to the scholarly article, Risk Factors in Spatial Distribution of Urban Rat Infestations, made by Abon Tamayo Uria in March of 2014, claims that researchers in Madrid, Spain, found out that these urban rats have certain hotspots underground. And how they found this was modeling 10,956 citizen rat sightings, rat reportings in from 2002 to 2008, found on the abstract of the article. So now that we have a general idea of what these health risks are and where these rats are coming from, let's talk about what we could do with these rats. Well, I believe that what we should do with these rats is use them for vaccinations for diseases that we don't have the cure for. And what I believe this when I read this article. According to the scholarly article, rats' Rattus norvicus tool manipulation ability exceeds simple pattern behavior, made by Ake Nagano on December 16th, 2019. She says studies that rats can understand casual relationships among multiple objects in the physical world, found on page 18. I mean, it's pretty similar to us humans. I mean, we do the same exact thing. And I believe that, rats don't really do a whole lot of good for us. I mean, what else can we do with these rats for the good for humanity? I mean, we have many incurable diseases. The biggest examples I could think of is cancer and coronavirus. I mean, what else could we do with them? And this can be supported by the expert Keshav Data, who created the scholarly article Reserved Metabolic Reprogramming as a Measure of Cancer Treatment in Rat C6 Glioma Model on December 12th, 2019, claims that we can use rats to find cures for humanity's biggest diseases, and the biggest example of this is cancer, found on page 2 of the article. So now that we've gone through the potential dangers of rat infestation, where they're coming from, and what we could do with these rats, let's talk about some potential plans that we could use. So there's two plans that I'm mostly familiar with. There's that two countries are using, and these countries are Canada and New Zealand. Canada's way of doing things is a much more peaceful way, and New Zealand's way is not very peaceful. According to the scholarly article How to Win the Rat Race, made by James Palmers on April 1st, 2019, has done a study with the Canadian city of Alberta. The Alberta Rat Patrol, who is an 8-person team who is armed with with poison and guns, ready to exterminate specific rodents. The ARP checks 3,000 farms a year and barely sees any rats. Found on page 10. And this is to believe the reason why there is no rats in Alberta is because of geographical isolation. That's the reason why Alberta has a very low rat count. And until World War II broke out, that is when the first number of rats started appearing. And that is found on page 2. I apologize. It is found on page 10 as well. New Zealand, on the other hand, has a much more extreme way of doing things. According to the scholarly article How to Win the Rat Race by James Palmers on April 1st, 2019, he claims that New Zealand has had enough of just doing half of the work for this, and they created a new program called the Rodent Free New Zealand in 2016. They would go to 2 inhabited islands of their own, and they would go to full-on war with these rats, and they believe that they would be rodent-free by 2050, and that is found on page 11 of the article. So now the main question, what do I believe that we should do? I believe that we should use the Alberta way of doing things. We shall create a new rat exterminator/extractor team known as the TCRE, the Twin City Rat Extractors. And I believe that we should take a number of these rats, not all of them, but a number of them, and that we should bring them to research facilities. The biggest example I can think of is the University of Minnesota, to create new vaccinations for the new diseases that we're going through today. So let's talk about what we just went through, where we talked about the potential health risks and where these rats are coming from, what we could do with these rats, how some potential plans of how we could get rid of these rats, and what I believe that what we should do. I believe that the TCRE is a great way, and one of the only ways I can think of to slow down or end the rate of rat infestation. We have enough problems on our hands, and I believe that rats should not be one of them. If we could I believe that this is one of the ways that we could end both rat infestation and humanity's biggest diseases. Thank you very much.